What is going on, guys? This is Michael Williams from Cartoon Universe, and man, just watched the new Star versus the Forces of Evil episode, Crystal Clear, and there are some crazy implications regarding this episode. There was a lot to cover here. Little minor details, especially one really big detail that could theoretically be easily missed, but also not. It's pretty noticeable, but it's extremely subtle in the way they present it. If you've seen the episode, obviously you know what I'm talking about. But we learned a lot in this episode. We learned that Glossaryck is actually the most powerful, magical, all-knowing being in the entire universe. So that's pretty crazy. So that leads me to believe whatever Glossaryck is doing, and I already thought this beforehand, but whatever Glossaryck is doing, it seems like he's got a solid plan together. I'm sure there is a clear reason as to why Glossaryck is staying away from Star and just hanging out with Ludo. There's got to be some overall motive that he's trying to do, because he's the most powerful, all-knowing being in the universe, which is very interesting. I'm curious as to like how that works, because I would assume that he'd be able to stop any evil power if he wanted to very easily, if he is indeed the most powerful being in the universe. But maybe there's something that he needs. Maybe his power's not fully unlocked. Maybe pudding actually gives him more power, which would be super hilarious. But yeah, who knows? I have no idea what the deal is there, but that's a super interesting detail to learn. But the really big thing is, so obviously in the episode, Romulus kidnapped Star as she's sneaking in to get some cereal, Marco's favorite cereal that she's not supposed to be eating. Not really important, but he kidnaps Star and Marco. He crystallizes both of them and takes them to his dimension or whatever, and takes them to Lekmet, and he says that he has it in his gut. He feels that Star is evil. Now, what's interesting is that's something that we've been speculating for a while, is that Star was turning evil. She was turning into a dark princess of magic, which this perfectly fits that narrative, and it leads me to believe even more that Star is going down a dark path, and we were going to see a severe change for Star somehow, some way, probably through Marco and Jackie. It could be through something else entirely, but I feel like we are definitely going to see that somehow. And I feel like Romulus is picking up on that, because he said his gut tells him that it's right. And I think this is somewhat of a misdirection, where Romulus looks like an idiot, and he looks dumb and foolish, and he ends up crystallizing Lekmet and his two hands, and it's just a whole mess. And he looks like he's the one that's just out of control and stupid. But in reality, he may actually be correct, and there's a reason for this, obviously. And that big thing is he's crystallized a bunch of other beings throughout the universe, all different dimensions, who he believes in his gut are evil, and they all look like monsters and creatures and stuff like that, and he has like evil twins on his nipples for some reason. But the big crazy thing is that Eclipsa, my boy, Eclipsa, is crystallized in this temple, and they just gloss over it. It's just like it's nothing. I don't know if Star just didn't see it, which is totally possible, because there's a lot of people crystallized. But yo, Eclipsa's alive, my boy. Eclipsa is alive, which has insane implications. For starters, that means we're almost definitely going to see Eclipsa in the present day. Which I thought could be a possibility, since she's messing with dark magic. It seems like she may have found a way to be immortal, similar to how Toffee is immortal. But I think we're very soon, probably, hopefully by the end of the season, that'd be awesome. But at least by season 3, we are going to see Eclipsa, and we're going to see her play a major role somehow. Now, here's what I think might actually be going down, and how all of this ties together into one big arc. I'm not sure what Glossaryck's plan is. However, I think what's going down is Eclipsa got crystallized many years ago, which leaves a lot of questions. How long ago was that? Must have been hundreds of years, multiple decades at least, because when Glossaryck said that Eclipsa was Queen Moon's grandmother, it was like great something. So it was years and years ago. She must have gotten crystallized because she was evil, and she definitely is evil. We know she's evil. She's the queen of darkness. So Romulus was right on that part, which is why I believe he's probably correct about Star being evil. I don't know why he was so late with Eclipsa, because Eclipsa clearly seemed to have a reputation of doing, a lot of dark magic. So I'm not sure why he wasn't able to crystallize her sooner before she got super evil. I'm not sure how that works. I'm sure we'll get a full-on backstory soon enough. But I think what's happening here, man, this is crazy. So Eclipsa is alive, she is crystallized. So what's happening, the reason Romulus kidnaps Star, he thinks she's evil, but he thinks she is the source of the magical Fritz. There's currently a magical Fritz in the universe, in the rift of the space-time dimensions, whatever. It's just messed up, things are not working, and he thinks she is the cause, and I think he's correct, and this is obviously would be because of the wand being split. So here's what I think happened, because Toffee is a very, very smart, very intelligent villain. He knows his stuff, he's wise, he's very well calculated. So I think here's what happens. I think Toffee has because we know Toffee's immortal, I think Toffee has some sort of connection to Eclipsa. He might be the son of Eclipsa and the monster. He might be some type of ally. I don't know, but I think Toffee may very well be an ally, or he knows that Eclipsa is alive. The reason I say this, he knows Eclipsa is alive and crystallized, is because he's very well calculated, he's very well educated, he knows what's going on in the world. He understands the very scope of things, he understands the world's lore. So I think what's happening is he's trying to get Eclipsa to be uncrystallized and banned with the monsters, because we know Eclipsa was a supporter of the monsters. She fell in love with the monsters, so she's on the monster side. She's not on the human side, and she was clearly very powerful, and she clearly has a lot more powerful than we probably even know. So what I think happened is Toffee knows she's alive. He knows Eclipsa is crystallized. And what's gonna happen is he knew that the whispering spell would cause some type of Fritz in the fabric of the magical universe, whatever, right? He knew that doing the whispering spell somehow, I don't know how, like I said, I think he has ties to Eclipsa beforehand, but I'm sure he could have figured it out any other way. He's very well educated. We'll figure that out soon enough. But he knew about the whispering spell, and he knew what it would do, and it wasn't going to destroy the wand. He didn't want it to destroy the wand. He wanted it to split it and cause a Fritz. He wanted it to cause some damage, and he knew that this was going to make Star's training a lot harder because it kind of has a mind of its own, and he knew he'd be able to be reborn via the wand when he was holding on to it, obviously, and now Ludo has that part of the wand, and it's highly speculated that Toffee is communicating to Ludo, and he figured Ludo was a perfect ploy, a perfect pawn, if you will, because he was so obsessed with the wand and so obsessed with power. So Ludo was very easily manipulated. So Toffee's working through Ludo and is eventually going to be reborn. And he knew the wand would split, and he knew that it would cause a magical Fritz, because if we see in the episode Crystal Clear, we see that Romulus he points up to a dimensional rift, and it's all green, which usually represents dark magic, and specifically Ludo's current wand. So I think Toffee purposefully caused the rift, and he purposely split the wand, knowing it would cause the rift. So eventually, I think what's going to happen is the rift is going to straight up undo all of the crystallization that Romulus did, because it looked like most of the creatures there, if not all of them, were just straight up monsters. So that if Toffee's fighting for the monsters, and Toffee wants revenge and reparation for the monsters and the wrongdoings of the humans, this would make perfect sense for all of the monsters to be uncrystallized, and they're probably very evil and very powerful, and especially Eclipsa. And Eclipsa is probably going to team up with Toffee, and there's going to be a huge, gigantic war by the end of the series between the humans and the monsters, and Eclipsa and Toffee are going to spearhead the leadership of the monsters. I feel like Toffee might actually get a redemption arc. I feel like after Ludo might get a redemption arc, because I feel like after Toffee takes over, Ludo's gonna be cast aside and treated like absolute crap, and none of the monsters are even gonna need him anymore, and he's gonna be powerless. And Ludo's always been like a very goofy character, so I feel like he's kind of like a Team Rocket sort of villain, whereas like Team Rocket's not really evil, they're just kind of bad, but also kind of goofy and have a good side to them. And I feel like it's similar things gonna happen with Ludo, and I think Ludo's gonna team up with Star and that whole crew. But I think what's gonna happen is gonna be a huge, crazy battle, and I think I don't know, it's gonna be insane. I don't know. And Marco might fight for the monsters, like we've been theorizing that he's like some type of prodigy. Who knows? But I think that's what's going to happen. I think Toffee's overall plan, ultimate plan, is to uncrystallize all the monsters, and especially Eclipsa, and basically have this immense amount of power in their control. And he may have wanted Romulus to crystallize Star. He may have known that Romulus would go after Star. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why Romulus isn't going after Ludo, though. I'm not sure how that works. Like, if there are like regulations, I don't know. I clearly not. It doesn't look like Romulus followed any type of regulation. So I'm not sure why Romulus didn't go after Ludo or any of the other monsters for that matter. If he could just crystallize evil beings, I have no idea. But maybe it didn't seem as much of a threat, and maybe this new Fritz was directly affecting their livelihood. I don't know. I have no idea. But I think the end goal, Toffee, is trying to uncrystallize Eclipsa and start basically an entire war and invade Muni. And he'll probably succeed for a while, and Star and whoever, they're going to have to band together and fight back. And I think that's the end goal, and I think that's the end game. So crazy stuff, insane major plot point just kind of glossed over really fast in the background. And that's what I think's happening. I think we're going to see Eclipsa. We might not see her this season. And another interesting point is, for apparently this minor potential spoilers, apparently the credits for the end episode leaked, and it says that Toffee's voice actor is in the credits. So that's for next episode. So potentially next episode we could see Toffee return. It could be a flashback. That is a possibility, but we might actually see Toffee come back at the end of next episode or something like that, which would be insane. And I think everything's coming together. I don't think these things are unrelated. I think even Miss Heinous might be connected somehow, but I think Toffee and Eclipsa and Star turning dark and Marco turning into the monsters, I think this is all connected in somehow. I don't know how, but I think the end game is for Toffee to unlock Eclipsa, and it's going to be insane. What do you guys think? What did you guys think of this episode? What do you guys think is going to happen with Eclipsa? How is she going to be uncrystallized? Because she's going to be uncrystallized, let's be real. Like, they wouldn't show that for no reason. She wouldn't just be there for no reason. Like, she's definitely going to come back, because I thought it was going to be a flashback. I thought they were going to go back because I figured she was dead. So I thought we were going to see her in the flashback, but we're going to see her in present day, boy, which is going to be crazy. Also, another thing is I'm curious as to what happened to her monster husband. Maybe he was killed or something. Have no idea, but I guess we can talk about that later if more information comes out. But what do you guys think of this episode? Do you think Eclipse is coming back soon? How do you think she's going to come back? Let us know in the comments down below, and be sure to stay updated. Follow us on Twitter, and big shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Michael Williams. You've been watching Cartoon Universe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.